Imagine yourself at the age of 7 watching one of the best cinematic experiences in the entire galaxy, and you instantly know what you're meant to do with your life. Hi, I'm Garrett K. Jones, and this week, for Author Awareness August, I've got the distinct pleasure of interviewing Tyler E.C. Burnworth, a science fiction writer from Las Vegas. Happy Saturday, everybody. How's it going? Before we get too far into this week's video, I want to share a couple of big things. First, a new episode of my podcast, Season 3 Storytellers, went out on Monday featuring a piece of Lovecraftian-style fantasy by creative writing student Antonio Martinez. Here's the promo. If you haven't heard the episode, I encourage you to do so, and if you're an author or poet interested in having your work turned into a similar episode, there are still plenty of open slots waiting for a writer just like you. It's $5 to register. Once you do, I send you the submission form, which provides me with brief bio information about you, document submission, and the option to do an on-air interview. It's guaranteed airtime. If you want to register or get caught up on the podcast, both of those links are down in the description box below. Next up, I've just connected with a great new channel called Anchor Pete. Pete's channel is relatively new, but he's getting some really good traffic as he does film and TV reviews, book reviews, and author interviews. I'll provide more information in the coming months as our collaboration gets underway, but I'm eager to work with him on this cross-promotion of our two channels because let's face it, that's what real social media is all about. Finally, last week I released the new cover art for Book 1, The Heirs of Metanias. I've had some great compliments on the revamped design, and I'm excited for people to start getting updated copies. Next week, I'm releasing the cover art for Book 2, The Destiny of Dragons. Now, if you want to get a sneak peek of what that looks like, I'll tell you more about that at the end of this video. Before going any further with the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. You can select notifications for all videos, or you can select notifications based on your preferences. If you're watching on your phone, be sure to update those settings inside the app itself to get the most out of your viewing experience. Hi Tyler, thanks for joining me. Tell me about your work. What do you write?
Hey Garrett, thank you for having me on your YouTube channel. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about my work. I write primarily science fiction and fantasy, and I dabble in thrillers and suspense when it comes to the shorter side of fiction. I have recently received a revise and resubmit letter from a publisher, which I'm very excited about. And the deadline's coming up quick, so hopefully everything goes well and I can have the book on shelves very soon. I did get started though in comics and webcomics, and so my initial projects have always been in the science fiction genre, but I did make a medium shift from comics and webcomics to prose, which I think suits my writing style a little bit better. the visuals tend to get away from me with the comic books, and I'm not an artist or an art director, which it did take me a while to figure that out.
So how did you get into writing?
I've wanted to be a writer ever since I was 7 years old. I know a lot of people, it's cliche, like, oh, the first time I saw Star Wars, I knew. I'm part of that cliche. Yeah, Star Wars really changed a lot for me. I was very young when I saw it, 7 years old, and up until that point, I didn't know what story could do. And that first one, A New Hope, is formulaically just the hero's journey, and that's what all story is. All stories are based on that. And as I got older, I began studying Joseph Campbell, hero's journey, the monomyth, all of these things, and I really saw how impactful it is to humanity. We learn things through story. There's oral traditions passed down. There's written histories passed down that survive the test of time. And story is a huge part of what it is to be human. And I want to be a part of that story. I want to tell stories, and I want to be a part of the human story. And that's why I write.
What are some of your inspirations as a writer?
Inspirations, yeah. For me, Robert Kirkman comes to mind right away. He's the creator of The Walking Dead, and also a comic series called Invincible, which is my favorite comic series of all time. And recently ended a couple years ago. It is well worth a read. I highly recommend it to anyone interested in comics or who thinks they might be interested in comics. What's cool about it is it plays on the conventions of the superhero comic genre, and so you think you know what's going to happen because you know the tropes for Superman or Batman, and that's not what happens. It's very exciting, very difficult to predict that storyline. Also, I am a huge fan of James S.A. Corey and the Expanse series that they've written. It's a co-author partnership. That is, in my opinion, pinnacle science fiction, especially in the modern era. And I could talk all day about The Expanse. It's great.
What has been the hardest part or biggest challenge in the creation of your work?
Yeah, far and away the most difficult thing for me has been to just do it. Sitting down at the computer every morning or evening and getting at the keyboard and filling those pages up with words. And it seems counterintuitive because you think maybe, oh, I need an education, I need good ideas, I need to read a lot and study a lot so that I know how other authors do things, and then I can kind of incorporate that into my own writing. That stuff's important, but far and away for me, the most important thing has been motivation, doing it. I noticed that I would spend a lot of time reading and researching and talking to people about my ideas, and none of that time was getting me any closer to completing a novel. So I made the decision to sit down every single day, if it's for 5 minutes or 5 hours, whatever free time I could scrape up, and try to write. And there are some days when I don't write. There are some weeks when it's been a few days that I don't write. But I don't let myself get hung up on that, and I don't beat myself up about it. I just try harder the next day, or the day after that. And eventually, the days when you do write add up to a full-length novel. And that's the best advice I can give to anybody.
If you could give any advice to other would-be authors out there, what would you tell them?
Yeah, start with my blog. I run a blog on Burn Fiction that is motivational for writers at every step of the creative process and at every stage of their writing career. It's strictly positive motivation, maybe a couple writing tidbits and insights thrown in there, but we all encounter writer's block and feelings of inadequacy, and if you're like me, when you sit down to write, you don't know who you are that day. You could be wearing the Stephen King hat where everything you write is pure magic, or you could be not wearing that hat and think everything that you write is crap. And either way, it's not really the best thing. Maybe for a first draft, the everything I touch turns to gold is a good one to have. But as writers, we're constantly switching between the writer hat and the editor hat. And you got to have the right hat on at the right time. And best advice I can give is to just power through. Write out that first draft start to finish before you even think about editing it. And then when you have the whole thing, look at it and extract those nuggets of gold out of it, and then write your second draft. And then after you got your second draft, maybe do a little bit of refining, and then seek out some beta readers that are in your genre and get some good feedback from them. Incorporate it, ignore what you don't want to incorporate, and then send it out again. And through this process, you're going to be able to finish your project no problem.
A big thank you goes out to Tyler, not just for his willingness to participate in this Author Awareness August interview, but because he is serving the U.S. as a member of the Air Force Reserves. Thank you. Thank you very much for your service, Airman. Now, if you're interested in following his work, you can connect with Tyler on Twitter at Tyler Writing, and you can visit his website, www.burnfiction.com. He also has a crowdfunding support page, patreon.com/Tyler Writing, and one of the cool rewards you'll have access to is his complete short story, Your War. He also has a webcomic called Spark in the Dark, available on the Webtoon app and website. Hey, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, please make sure to like and share this video, because that's how this channel is going to grow its viewership. If you find yourself in a position to do so, please consider becoming a channel supporter by clicking on the link down in the description box and going to patreon.com/GKJ Publishing. On that site, you will find support tiers of $1, $3, and $5. Each tier comes with its own sweet perks, plus you get recognition on the final video of the month. One very special perk that all tiers are sharing right now is that you'll have early access to the new cover art for Book 2, The Destiny of Dragons, before I broadcast it next week. Don't forget to register your short story or poetry for Season 3 Storytellers, and make sure to connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing, and I will see you guys next week for the next episode of Author Awareness August, featuring an interview with Zintra Sullivan, a writer and podcast host from Australia. The vlog of the Five Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.